Investigators hope
The bodies of women started showing up in March of 1988. All had disappeared from the same area in New Bedford.
It was ludicrous not to admit that it was a serial killer.
Months later, when the killing spree ended, police had 9 murders on their hands and 2 women still missing.
Imagine driving along the highway, picking up hitchhikers, all while harboring a sinister secret. Picture this, the late 1980s, a time of big hair and bright neon. But beneath this vibrant facade, a dark shadow was creeping along the highways of New Bedford, Massachusetts. In this seemingly peaceful coastal town, a string of grisly murders was about to unfold, casting a pall over the spirited 80s. The victims? 9 women, most of whom were known to hitchhike and had struggles with addiction. Their lives, snuffed out prematurely, were as diverse as they were tragic. But they all shared one dreadful commonality. They were all picked up along the highway only to be found lifeless months later. As these women stepped into a stranger's car, little did they know the peril that awaited them. The method of their murder remains a mystery that continues to baffle investigators. Autopsies could not definitively determine the cause of death due to the advanced state of decomposition. However, their final resting places, all along the same highway, suggested a single perpetrator, a shadowy figure who would come to be known as the New Bedford Highway Killer. The ominous pattern of these murders sent a wave of terror through the town. The residents, once carefree, now looked over their shoulders, their trust in strangers eroded. As the body count rose, the fear intensified. The local authorities were under tremendous pressure to apprehend the perpetrator and restore safety to their shaken community. Yet, despite their best efforts, the case grew colder as the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The face of the killer remained elusive, hidden behind the veils of time and the anonymity of the highway. The lack of substantial leads and the slow pace of the investigation only added to the growing sense of dread. As bodies started to pile up, a chilling question arose. Who was the New Bedford Highway Killer? The answer, shrouded in the mists of the past, is an unsolved mystery that continues to haunt the highways of New Bedford to this very day. 9 lives were tragically cut short, their dreams forever lost on the highway. Let's delve into the lives that were abruptly halted by an unknown menace. Imagine a daughter, a sister, a friend, abruptly taken away, their names forever etched in the annals of this dreadful mystery. First, we have Deborah Medeiros, a woman with a heart of gold, who unfortunately found herself caught in the web of addiction. She was last seen in the spring of 24, her laughter forever echoing in the memories of her loved ones. Next is Nancy Paiva, a single mother of 2, striving to provide for her family despite her own struggles. She vanished without a trace one fateful summer evening, leaving behind 2 children who would never again see their mother's loving smile. Then there's Deborah Greenlaw, a vibrant spirit with dreams that extended far beyond the confines of New Bedford. Her disappearance in July of 24 sent shockwaves through her community, her absence a haunting reminder of the danger lurking in the shadows. Barbara Raposa, a fiercely independent woman, was known for her tenacity and strength. Her abrupt disappearance in the fall of 24 left a void that could never be filled. Rochelle Clifford-Dopiarala, a woman with an infectious laugh and a zest for life, met the same cruel fate. Her sudden absence in the winter of 24 left a profound impact on those who knew her. And then we have the remaining 4, Mary Santos, Dawn Mendez, Robin Rhodes, and Sandra Bodelho, each with their own dreams, their own stories, their own struggles. Each one tragically met the same fate on the highway, their lives abruptly halted by a faceless menace. Each woman met the same fate, their lives taken by an unknown assailant, their bodies discarded along the highway. Their stories serve as a grim reminder of the lives lost, the dreams shattered, and the families left to grapple with the aftermath of this unsolved mystery. As the body count rose, so did the urgency to catch the killer. The investigation into the New Bedford Highway murders was a race against time, a race that the police were, sadly, losing. Evidence was scarce, and leads were few and far between. The killer was meticulous, leaving behind little more than the haunting memories of the victims he claimed. The investigation was a mammoth task. It involved hundreds of officers spanning multiple jurisdictions. Every scrap of information was scrutinized, every lead pursued with relentless determination. But the killer remained a shadow, always one step ahead, always out of reach. Detectives were faced with a daunting challenge. They had to piece together a puzzle, but the pieces didn't fit. The victims didn't know each other, There were no witnesses, and the killer left no trace. It was like trying to catch a ghost. Despite the lack of tangible leads, the investigators weren't without suspects. There were several individuals who caught the attention of law enforcement, men with dark pasts and questionable alibis, men who could have been the monster they were hunting. But suspicion and proof are two different things. Without concrete evidence, there were no arrests, no trials, no justice. The evidence collected was minimal. The killer was careful, leaving no fingerprints, no DNA, no trace of his presence. The only evidence was the bodies of the victims themselves, and they revealed little about the identity of their murderer. The investigators were left grasping at straws, struggling to make sense of the senseless. Yet the investigation was relentless. The officers worked round the clock, determined to bring the killer to justice. They chased down every lead, questioned every suspect, and examined every piece of evidence. But the more they dug, the deeper the mystery became. The killer was like a phantom, a specter that haunted the highways, leaving a trail of death in his wake. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive. The investigation was a testament to the tenacity of the officers involved, a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk just out of sight, and a haunting echo of the lives that were cruelly cut short. In every mystery, there are always those who fall under suspicion. In the chilling case of the New Bedford highway killer, several individuals found themselves in the chilling spotlight of suspicion. Amidst the fear and uncertainty, a handful of potential culprits emerged, each with their own distinct and unsettling potential motives. First among these was a local fisherman, a man known for his rough demeanor and violent history. Known to frequent the same areas where the victims were last seen, his presence painted a grim picture. However, despite this connection and his questionable past, he maintained his innocence. His alibi? He was out at sea during each of the disappearances, a claim that, while difficult to prove, was equally challenging to refute. Next in line was a truck driver, a transient figure whose route coincided eerily with the highway where the victims were picked up. His job provided him with the freedom to move around unnoticed, making him a prime suspect. Yet his alibi stood firm. He insisted he was merely a man on the job, with logbooks accounting for his whereabouts. But could these records be trusted, or were they a clever guise to cover up sinister deeds? Perhaps the most chilling suspect of all was a local law enforcement officer, a man sworn to protect and serve. The very idea that such a figure could be implicated in such heinous acts was enough to send shivers down the spine. His potential motive? A dark desire for power and control. His alibi? The officer was always on duty when the crimes occurred, providing him with a seemingly solid defense. Yet despite these suspicions and the haunting potential motives, the chilling fact remains that no one was ever charged with these crimes. The shadowy figures of suspicion remain just that, figures enveloped in the darkness of uncertainty and doubt. Yet, despite the suspicions and theories, no one was ever charged with the crimes. As with any unsolved case, theories began to swirl. The chilling tale of the New Bedford highway killer is no exception, with speculation seeping into every corner of the mystery. The theories around this case are as varied as they are unsettling. One of the most prevalent theories is the involvement of a serial killer. This theory holds that a single individual, psychologically disturbed and driven by a morbid fascination, was responsible for the murders. This individual, according to the theory, would have meticulously planned and executed each crime, leaving no trace behind. A second theory suggests the involvement of a truck driver. The chilling isolation of the highway, combined with the transient nature of a truck driver's life, makes this an unsettling possibility. This theory proposes that a truck driver, familiar with the roads and equipped with a vehicle that could easily transport victims, committed the crimes. It's a theory that paints a disturbing picture of a predator on the move, exploiting the anonymity provided by the open road. Yet another theory, perhaps even more disturbing, is the possibility of multiple killers. This theory posits that a group of individuals, bound together by their shared deviance, were behind these heinous acts. The idea of a group of killers working in tandem not only amplifies the horror, but also complicates the task of investigators. Some theories even go so far as to suggest that the killer or killers are still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for their next opportunity. It's a chilling thought that sends shivers down the spine, a stark reminder of the unsolved nature of this case. But as is often the case with unsolved mysteries, these theories remain just that, theories. They are conjectures, ideas born out of the desperate need for answers in a case that has left many questions unanswered. These theories, as intriguing as they may be, have yet to bring us any closer to the truth. Decades have passed, but the mystery of the New Bedford Highway Killer remains. The case, as chilling as it was, has not been put to rest. The cold, harsh reality is that the New Bedford Highway Killer continues to be a faceless phantom, evading the grasp of law enforcement even after all these years. The investigation is still active, with detectives tirelessly pursuing any leads that come up, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. They are determined to bring closure to this case, to bring justice to those who lost their lives in such a horrifying manner. The current status of the case is as chilling as it was decades ago. Despite the passage of time, the case is far from being forgotten. It remains a haunting enigma, a puzzle with missing pieces that the authorities are still trying to fit together. The investigators have not given up. They continue to sift through the evidence, hoping to find that one clue that will finally crack the case wide open. The victims' families, left in the wake of such a horrifying tragedy, continue to grapple with their loss. The pain, the grief, the unanswered questions, they all linger, a constant reminder of the loved ones they lost. The impact of this tragedy is immeasurable, an open wound in the heart of the community. The family's pleas for justice echo in the silence, a call that has not yet been answered. Despite the grim reality, there is still a glimmer of hope. New technologies and advancements in forensic science provide a ray of light in the darkness. DNA profiling, enhanced crime scene analysis, and other modern investigative techniques have been deployed in hopes of finally solving this case. The investigators remain hopeful that these tools will provide the breakthrough they have been waiting for. As the years roll by, the hope of solving this case becomes a fading beacon on the dark highway of the past. The mystery of the New Bedford Highway Killer lingers, a chilling reminder of the horrors that once unfolded on that deserted highway. But as long as the case remains open, there is a promise of justice, a promise of closure, and a promise that those lost will not be forgotten. The New Bedford Highway killings have left a haunting legacy. A specter that still hovers over the community, a shadow that refuses to fade. This tale of terror has etched itself into the psyche of New Bedford, shaping and shifting perceptions, altering the very fabric of the community. The local community, once a safe haven, was forever marred by the fear and uncertainty that came in the wake of the killings. Innocence was lost, replaced by a heightened sense of vigilance. The once common practice of hitchhiking became a chilling reminder of the lives taken too soon. The friendly faces of passing drivers were now viewed with suspicion, the open road no longer a symbol of freedom, but of potential danger. The legacy of the New Bedford Highway killings is not just one of fear, but also of loss. 9 lives, each with their own stories, their own dreams, were abruptly and violently taken away. Their absence, a gaping void in the heart of the community, a void that no amount of time could ever fill. This chilling saga also left behind a legacy of awareness. It served as a grim reminder of the importance of personal safety. It sparked conversations, led to community initiatives aimed at ensuring the safety of its members, and reminded everyone of the need to look out for one another. But perhaps the most haunting part of this legacy is the mystery that still surrounds these killings. Despite the passage of time, the identity of the killer remains unknown. The unanswered questions continue to gnaw at the peace of the community, the lack of closure a constant reminder of the terror that once gripped New Bedford. The memory of the victims and the mystery that surrounds their deaths continues to echo along the highway, an echo that serves as a chilling reminder of the lives lost, a legacy that continues to haunt, a mystery that refuses to be forgotten.